the other day. Like somebody had came to the Krishna lounge, and we actually had drove him from Ocean Beach. He came with us. We met him in Ocean Beach, and after he was working that day, he came afterwards. Thought he'd come check out the place, and he had a blast hanging out with us. And then later on, he told us that he was falling on some like hard times. And that like he's going to school, studying, trying to get his master's in communications, and like it was just really didn't have enough for food. So like the moment we heard that, one of our congregation members just like went to the back and compiled as much food as he can possibly put in a bag to give to this person. And the mood was like, we know how tough it can be, and we got you. And we always have a surplus amount of food here. Plus, we're getting a lot of donations from Trader Joe's. So if anybody did need food, you can come. The other day, one of the couples of our congregation, we have a congregation of about a few hundred families, and one of the ladies was having marital issues, and the moment we found out about that, one of our senior ladies, like married couples, had immediately went to that person's home just to be a source of solace and shelter. And now that couple's doing well. And just the other day, I was in the ashram, in the monastery, and one of the younger monks was having a tough time, and he was weeping. And he was revealing his mind to a senior monk. And all that senior monk could do was just like, he just stopped everything that he was doing, and he just embraced him. And that younger monk just cried on his shoulders. And to me, as a witness, I was just like, I was moved. I think I was weeping a little bit, just to see such a profound exchange of love. I was really thinking like, wow, these people really care about each other. And all these instances just reminded me of so much that we're a community, and community means that we're a family, and family means that we're here for each other. This is just a side note. I just thought I'd share that. It's not what I'm actually going to talk about. Yeah, so somehow that this topic is relevant to some of my friends right now, perhaps is relevant to many of us, at least at some portion of our life, some time in our life. It was relevant for me, but the topic is going to be healing from heartbreak and attaining the highest love. I mean, I feel at least like perhaps many can relate, unless you're like the lucky one in like thousands that you found your significant other and like it just worked out for you, and you've been together all this time. Usually it's not like that. It's like usually it takes a few to find that person. It takes a few heartbreaks and heartaches. And yeah, I was one of those people. I feel like these days I don't even, lately what I've been doing, I've been like wearing my heart on my sleeve, like almost like a permanent thing. It's like what you see is what you get. And so if my vulnerability could be a catalyst to connect and relate with others, then so be it. It's whatever. And so I've just been like, for my own self-growth, for my own personal development, been in this space where, I'm just going to share about my life. And love it or leave it, people may appreciate it, people may not. But at the end of the day, I can only be myself. And all the suffering, and all the struggles, and all the successes made me everything of who I am. And so if I can be vulnerable and just share that, then I don't know, perhaps people could relate. Maybe somebody can get something out of it, right? So yeah, heartbreak. It's like such a deep topic. I don't think like till this day I've experienced anything more painful in life than heartbreak. And I've been on this earth for 26 years. I mean, that was so long ago, right? I've been a monk for 7 years, so I haven't had a relationship in that long. But even though it was like a high school relationship, the experience was real. And it's interesting how the person who can give you the most pleasure could also give you the most pain. How perhaps it's because we make such an investment on our part to give our love and trust. If you give somebody your love and trust, you're giving somebody the essence of who you are. And when that's lost or betrayed, we feel lost ourselves. Yeah, but I feel like this desire to have a relationship with somebody, it's really rooted in our desire to have a relationship with the Supreme. It's the very nature of the self. In the Vedanta Sutra, there's a verse, Anando Maya Vyasha, that the living entity, the very self, the Atma, is pleasure seeking, is seeking bliss, is seeking prem, love. And that perhaps the highest love that we can experience, the love that we actually hanker for, a love that's boundless, a love that's undying, a love that's infinite, a love that can be infinitely reciprocated, can be found in that relationship with the Supreme. It's the one relationship that will be there in this body and in this lifetime, perhaps in the next. It's the one relationship that helps us heal our wounds. Really allows us to see the lessons and beauty in all relationships. It's the relationship that encourages compassion and forgiveness and sympathy and empathy for another. It's our ever-existing, everlasting relationship with Krishna. And that's the whole essence of yoga. Like, real yoga is about making that inner connection. It's about connecting through love, through bhakti, through devotion with the Supreme. So I really feel like if we just focus on that one relationship, the ultimate relationship in our lives, then we can really see and extract the essence of all other relationships when we make that connection. So just a few thoughts on the topic of heartbreak and healing. Just like to open it up for discussion. If anybody had any comments or questions, please feel free. Yeah.
Thank you for the interesting class.
Yeah.
So what is the solution to heartbreak?
The solution to heartbreak is really valuing it as a experience of growth. You know, sometimes people, all they see is the bad in heartbreak. Like for me, like when I was 17, right, high school, you start to think about all the bad things that happened. Like, this person was like this, and like this. It didn't work out because of this and this and this. If you see all the bad, then you gotta see all the good. There had to be at least some good moments, some beautiful times. And so, really, I think it's just evolution of consciousness. Just seeing that was an experience and seeing the lessons within it. And seeing ultimately that it was my karma. So, is that okay? Anybody else? Yeah.
What about when you break your own heart by doing something that turns out to be a form of self-sabotage?
That's a good question. I mean, that's a really good question. It's super pertinent. I think self-care is self-love. I think that the mind has a very negative tendency to self-sabotage our potential. And I think that the solution to that would be to prove it to yourself every day and to really watch our own self-talk. You know, because perhaps the only reason why we think we can't or we're not worthy is because those are the things that we're telling ourselves. But this is just a belief. And we have to change those limiting beliefs. Is that okay? Okay. Yeah, Pablo. Yeah. Okay.
Heartbreak is, I think it's very common.
Yeah.
Almost everyone goes through it some point in life. But I was just thinking about the example of mother and the son or daughter, who's ever, like the child of relationship, right? So they also love, like at least mother has love towards child in the beginning and child has, but they grow up, right?
Yeah.
And then the children's go away, but the mother still have same love. So though there is a heartbreak because the children's don't, they're not kind of reciprocating with the mother, but the mother is still, with the heartbreak there is a love, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
So how to understand that and why it is like that as compared to someone at the same age or meeting and loving each other, and when things don't satisfy the need, then they just go into negative tip kind of situation.
Yeah.
Right? Just contrasting.
The heartbreak from like a mother's affection for their daughter, for their child.
Versus people love each other and then they broke up.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. That's a nice question. It's interesting, like in our tradition of yoga, so Krishna, he outlines 4 major systems of yoga in the Bhagavad Gita. Karma yoga, the yoga of action. Jnana yoga, the yoga of knowledge. Dhyana yoga, Astanga, the yoga of mysticism. Bhakti yoga, the yoga of devotion, the yoga of love. And it's interesting that in our tradition, the yoga of love, the highest yogis are these cowherd girls. They're like cowherd girls. And the reason why they're the highest yogis is because no one can outdo their devotion, their love for Krishna. Because in our process, the highest realization is love of God. And these yogis, these gopis, they condemn the creator of the world, Brahma, because he has created bodies that when they blink and they cannot see their Krishna, their beloved, even for a second, they're heartbroken. And so that's like a transcendental way of being heartbroken. To have so much love for another that even a second of not thinking of them, of not being with them, completely leaves them in anguish. And then we actually understand that position to be the highest state. We can have that much love and separation. And the Sanskrit term is vipralamba ras. To have so much love for another person that you can only experience that through being heartbroken, through separation. So I think there's different ways of interpreting heartbreak. Is that okay? Yeah. Vijay.
Sometimes love is misunderstood. It's there's lust and there's love.
Yeah.
Like it's compared to iron and gold. So if someone is on the bodily conception of life and trying to have a relationship, there's so much expectation because of the bodily conception of life. They want to enjoy the body. But when one comes to the spiritual platform, as you were mentioning, that we try to have this loving relationship with the Supreme, there's no disappointment. In material relationships, there's always some disappointment.
Yeah.
So the whole Bhakti Yoga process is to come to the spiritual platform where one is not disappointed.
Sure, thank you.
Does the Gita say that the seeking of any kind of relationship? Does the Gita say that the seeking of any kind of relationship is because there's a gap in the relationship with the Supreme? Or is that not necessarily always the case?
I think the desire to have a relationship with another is rooted in that original desire to have a relationship with the Supreme. Like the original tendency, inclination is inherent. It's part of who we are because it's the original, it's the very dharma of the self to engage lovingly in loving service to the Supreme. So I think so. Yeah. Any comments? Anything else? Yeah. We could try a little more. I'm like, yeah. We can do kirtan. Would anybody else like to say anything else? All right, we can do more kirtan. You want to lead? Oh, you have something you want to say? Okay. Yeah, I can lead.